Reba McEntire and Nick Jonas together again. It's a reunion more than 20 years in the making, and for both stars, it feels like coming home. Before sharing the stage on The Voice, Reba and Nick first worked side by side on Broadway. It was 2001, the production was Annie Get Your Gun, and the pair instantly formed a bond neither has forgotten. Reba played Annie Oakley, and a young Nick Jonas, still a preteen with big dreams, made his Broadway debut. It was Reba's first time in a musical theater role and Nick's first play ever. They still remember the magic of those nights in New York, and the lessons learned from that once-in-a-lifetime experience. Nick recalls how surreal it felt to work with one of country music's biggest icons, a voice he'd grown up hearing at home. Every night backstage, he'd meet a parade of A-listers who came to see Reba perform. He called it a vortex of star power, and now, 2 decades later, he's sharing a stage with her. Once again, Reba brought Nick back into her world as her battle-round advisor on The Voice. The full-circle energy wasn't lost on either of them. Reba says she couldn't have chosen a better partner, praising Nick's experience, calmness, and wisdom beyond his years. Nick, who coached on 2 previous seasons of The Voice, stepped back into familiar territory with ease, helping shape the next wave of talent. Behind the scenes, Reba and Nick spent their downtime reminiscing about their Broadway days, the long hours, the exhaustion, and the joy that came with performing 8 shows a week. Reba admits that after working with real cattle all her life, she still found Broadway harder than ranching. She laughed, remembering her one day off each week, when all she wanted to do was sleep and do laundry instead of sightseeing in New York. Nick calls the experience one of the most rewarding of his career. And returning to work with Reba, he says, felt both nostalgic and inspiring. Proof of how far they've both come since those early days on stage. Reba jokes that Joe Jonas wasn't available, so she got Nick, the best Jonas, as she calls him. She says his knowledge, empathy, and long career make him the perfect fit for her team. And for Reba, who's celebrating 50 years in entertainment, working with a next-generation talent who's been performing for 20 feels like a bridge between eras. Nick's time as a coach on The Voice was unlike any other. His first season filmed during lockdown, which meant he never actually sat in his famous red chair. Instead, he bought his own red swivel chair online, which still sits in his home as a memento. When Reba's contestants discovered their battle advisor was Nick Jonas, reactions ranged from shock to pure joy. Some nearly fainted, Reba says, clutching their chests as he walked through the door. It's another moment that proves how much impact the Jonas brothers still have after 2 decades. Nick and his brothers, Joe and Kevin, are currently on their 5 albums, one-night world tour, celebrating 20 years as a band. Nick says the milestone feels surreal. He's proud, grateful, and humbled that their fans have grown with them and that their music now spans generations. He admits there were moments along the way when it wasn't clear the band would continue. But the support from fans has been stronger than ever. Looking out from the stage, he says, seeing both longtime and brand new fans together is something he'll never take for granted. As for the next 20 years, Nick says, absolutely. He's just 32, still hungry to create, and determined to stay healthy and happy for the long haul. Much of that balance, he adds, comes from family. Nick's wife, Priyanka Chopra Jonas, has been filming overseas, and with his Broadway commitments and tour schedule, time together can be rare. So when he got a few quiet weeks at home with Priyanka and their daughter Malti, he cherished every moment. Reba, who's seen decades of career highs and reinventions, completely relates. The hardest part of success, she says, is learning when to say no. Knowing which projects matter most and how to protect the personal moments that keep you grounded. Nick agrees, saying artists often feel compelled to say yes to everything because they know how lucky they are to do what they love. But over time, he's learned that saying no is essential to staying present for life's real priorities. Music remains a shared passion for both. Nick has spent time writing in Nashville and even co-wrote a song with Shay Mooney of Don plus Shay for Rascal Flatts. Country music, he says, feels like home. The storytelling, the honesty, the emotion. He credits his dad for raising him and his brothers on all kinds of music. From gospel to classic country, Reba lights up at the idea of a Jonas Brothers country project, saying she'd love to join in on a song herself. She's half joking, but only half. With that signature grin, she says, "Pick me, coach, and Nick doesn't rule it out. For Reba, this moment is about connection, bringing things full circle, celebrating the people who shaped her along the way and paying that mentorship forward. For Nick, it's about gratitude, recognizing how his childhood experiences and the mentors he admired helped shape the artist and father he's become. Their reunion on The Voice isn't just a television event. It's a reminder of how careers, like lives, evolve in chapters, from Broadway spotlights to arena stages, from one red chair to another. Reba McEntire and Nick Jonas have both found a rhythm that blends past and present, and as they share the screen once more, it's clear the music, the mentorship, and the memories have all come full circle.